workplace incivility. This is something which I think everybody sees, but no one talks about it enough. This subject close to my heart, and today I want to talk about what is this, what causes this, how does it impact organizations, and what can we do about this in the next 7-8 minutes. Let's start. In the most acute form, incivility takes the form of rude behavior, usually by a senior to the team. It could also be between team members. It takes the form of yelling, body language, banging the table in a meeting. These are some of the acute forms. You can have milder forms like and whenever I talk about this, you will immediately think of people you know who do this, and that probably will tell you how prevailing this is. People who walk into the office and walk through all of you and don't recognize you, don't say anything to you, don't wish you, they just walk through. People who in a meeting, senior guys sitting in a meeting and you're talking or presenting and they're busy looking at their email or the smartphone. People who are always late to meetings, they basically tell you that you're not important for me to keep the time or be attentive when you're presenting. It also is gossiping about people negatively behind their back. That's also a form of incivility that travels, it creates negativity in organizations, is not good for the organization. It's prevalent. It's so prevalent that a recent study a few years back, and when I read this I was surprised. It said that when they talked to people across a cross section of organizations, they found that 50% of them said that they experienced rude behavior at least once in the last 1 week. Imagine the magnitude. That's how much it is. We don't realize that's happening, and maybe I think we have sort of taken it for granted that it's okay. It's not. Okay. What causes it? Why is this so prevalent? One of the major causes really is the stress in organizations. There's a lot of pressure. People are working on timelines, there are numbers, there are targets, and in this whole thing, they start behaving sometimes irrationally. Okay, so there is also pressure of like downsizing, etc. It all brings stress to the teams, and people behave in ways which are not their normal behaviors many times. There's also one thing that I noticed. A lot of leaders believe that that's the way to be successful. They mistake aggression or an aggressive or a dynamic or a go-getting leader to be somebody who disrespects people. They believe that the good guys don't win. They're absolutely wrong. And I'm close to 40 years now in the workspace. Okay, and I can tell you that's absolutely wrong. Good guys always win. These guys will not win in the long run. There are enough examples, okay, and you all know the names. I can talk of two people whom I know, and one of them had a long flight together. Ratan Tata and Narayan Murthy, two people, gentle people, but they have built huge organizations. They run large companies Okay, and Ratan Tata, for example, is a legend. He's loved everywhere. In fact, maybe this is an exaggerated feeling I get, but whenever I went on calls to a Tata company, from the time I enter and meet the security guard first and then get in, I find people more happier at work than in many other places. Okay, it could be an illusion, but that's how these people are, and they're very, very successful people, and they're nice guys. Nice guys do win, believe me. Okay, so I think this is the big cause of stress, and this is not an excuse for that behavior, but I feel people are on the edge, maybe more now, but it's always been like this. What is the impact to organizations? And we probably think it's okay. It's not. It results obviously in a drop in morale of the team. It results in psychological stress. It results in health issues, and of course it results in a big productivity drop. Productivity from people being absent more often than normal. Productivity loss because mentally they are not charged, they are not giving their 100%. And the other thing, the hidden thing is in meetings, etc., they don't speak up for fear of being criticized, okay, or being ridiculed for an idea. So they don't speak up. You lose valuable new ideas. A few years back, one of the leading multinational IT companies, they did a study to find what is the impact of workplace incivility on their cost. You will be surprised. Though they looked at only few parameters which impacted there, but actually I think they should do far more wider. But in this limited study, they found that they would probably be losing $12 million every year due to workplace incivility. So let's look at what can we do about it. This is my personal feeling, and I'm going to share this with you, that don't try and do anything at an organization level. You can't do it also. I think the whole change has to come from the individual, each of us, and especially the people who lead, people who are team players, who are team leaders. You need to look at yourself, and I can tell you it's not easy. It's very tough. I have in the past given feedback to people in my first line, and it usually surprising to me that they were unaware that that's what is the impact they are creating. Or when they look at employee feedbacks which come, they are really surprised and they say, oh, but how did this happen? I'm always very nice to them, but they don't realize there are small things which you do which all come under this category. You can't, for example, call up people on a weekend and discuss business, however urgent it is, and if it's an emergency, there are ways of doing it, and message, check, ask if it's okay. And especially women, okay, late evening calls or calling up on weekends is not okay. It puts stress. It's like a dark side which you can't see yourself. So what do you do about this? Take feedback. If your people trust you, they will give you honest feedback. You'll have to build that trust. Or you identify somebody you trust and ask him to observe you during the way you write emails, the way you talk in a meeting. It could be an HR guy, or it could be somebody in the team you trust, and let him give you feedback. Okay, so it's important. All of us have rough edges. Still, It's important to know that when are you being disrespectful, okay, and then to eliminate that from your. It's difficult. It's never easy. It's easier to go and continue the way you're done because it's worked for you in the past, but it won't work for you in the future. Okay, so first identify that there is something wrong. Second is, don't worry about the larger organization, just look at your team. In your team, can you define and share as a team what is acceptable and unacceptable behavior as a team? Share transparently. In fact, make one of them a referee. His job would be to raise the yellow flag in a meeting or whenever and say, look, I think we are going out of line. Okay, so it's so important to do this very transparently so people understand that you really want to change and bring a nice atmosphere into that team. Absolutely important. That's when you become a leader. Okay, so identifying, creating a set of rules. If there are trainings that you can do on behavior, please invest in that. Okay, don't worry about the larger organization. Focus on your team and yourself. Okay, it's very important. You need to. Let me give a small example. I've seen so many people in a meeting ridiculing or criticizing someone. I would strongly urge you to do exactly the opposite. If you want to give feedback, tough feedback, call the guy into a room and talk to him one-to-one. And if you want to praise someone, just go out in the floor, stand up on the table and announce it to the whole world that this guy did a great job. Praise publicly, criticize privately. Small things, very important. Okay, so keep this in mind. You need to change yourself. You can't change the world. You first need to change yourself and your team and make that a happy place to work in. There are one or two other things I think are very important. One is hiring. When you hire people, when we all hire people, we look at one or two primary things, which is about his skills and his experience, okay, in doing the job in the past, etc., etc. We rarely try and find out how was he with his people. And there are many ways of getting feedback. Remember one thing, one rotten fish will spoil the pond. The entire pond, it will muddy. So it's so important. It's critical that you hire with this one parameter also. We spend most of our waking time at the workplace. Let's all work together and figure out how to make this a far better place to work in. Thank you. Till next time. Stay on.